Making a little journal or a little booklet to express your thoughts, your ideas, perhaps some poetry ideas and things like that can be hugely rewarding, and it's a really easy thing to do. And in this week's Doodle Club, we're going to make little books, little booklets, really easy to make and so effective. So welcome to Doodle Club with me, Kate Field, artist, teacher and speaker, helping you find your creative spirit. And I'm not going to waffle on anymore. We're going to dive straight in. So those of you who have been with me for a long time, so people like Margot and Marilyn and Julia and Janie and Nikki and Andrea and Claire and Carol and Amelie, you know how much I love making these little booklets, little explosion booklets, little journals, junk journals and things like that. And I love using journals to help me organise my thoughts, put down ideas, and for my poetry. And this little booklet is a little bit different. There's lots of different ways that you can make them, but it's basically 3 pieces of paper with fold out pieces, as you can see here. This isn't finished. I've started this earlier in the week. It's still got some blank pages in it, but the idea is that it's a small booklet that you can jot down some ideas or you could give as a gift. And I really like this style. And again, this is one that I haven't finished yet, so I'm going to show you how to make them, and I will show you how I finish off this one. Now, before you start, you might want to think about why you want to create this. Is it going to be a gift for someone? Is it for you to organise some of your thoughts? What do you want to do? So, what are you going to need? You're going to need 3 pieces of paper, and they need to be of fairly good quality. Now, I'm using cartridge paper. I have used watercolour paper before, and you could use wallpaper lining paper. Now, this is A3 size, which is 12 inches by 16.5 inches. And I've cut them into half lengthways. I just want 3. I'm just going to put those there. Now, there is very little, or there is no measuring in this. So whatever size paper you have will work. This size paper will make this size book, because you can see when we spread it all out that it's the length of the A3 paper, which is 16.5 inches. Oh, let's put that together like that. So I've got my 3 pieces, and the first thing you're going to do is to fold each piece in half. Just use your thumb to do that. And then while you're doing that, you can be thinking about what colours you want to use, what shapes you might use, how you might want to use this little book. And then what we're going to do with these pieces folded, we are going to be folding them again, but not quite yet, is we're going to paint them. Now, you don't have to paint them first. You can make up the booklet first if you want to, and then paint it. And so what I'm going to do in this demonstration is I'm going to paint these 3 sides, but I'm going to leave the backs blank. And then when I put it together, you'll see that there'll be blank pages, and then I'll show you what I do with those. And I am going to use some watercolour paint. You could use acrylics. I'm going to use these ones. I really like them. I've put a link in the description. They are absolutely beautiful watercolour paints. But I use a whole variety of different colours and different types of paint, so you use whatever you have. But you could also use colouring pencils, you could use chalks, whatever you want to. The idea is I'm going to show you how to make the book. Oh, excuse me. What you then do with it is entirely up to you. So I'm going to be using a soft round brush and a soft flat brush, and the colours I'm going to use are going to be the autumn colours, and I'm just going to put some water onto the page. And again, this is why the page really does need to be, the paper needs to be quite strong. This is the fun bit. I'm going to be just putting in some colours. You could also use a brush or a sponge. No, we're using a brush. What am I talking about? You could use a sponge. Oh dear. Let's do this. So how are you all? What have you been up to? Thank you for your lovely comments in the last few tutorials. It's really, really lovely reading them. Some of them really heartwarming. And wow, thank you. I'm so pleased that you are getting inspiration and getting ideas for your own work. Right, I'm just going to leave that one to dry, and I'm going to move on to the next one. Now you can see that I'm doing these quickly, and I would encourage you to do the same. Now, don't labour things too much. I think this one I'm going to do some spirals and some circles. Just keeping to the same colour palette. Obviously you don't have to, you could use whatever colours you want. But I like to use colours that either complement each other or are on the same side of the colour wheel. Let me just grab my colour wheel and show you what I mean. So the colours that I'm using now are the warm colours, and the colours I used in my previous one, like this book here, I use the cool. When you use both sides, they are complementary, and that can work very well as well. But also you could do monochrome. You could just use one colour and then black and white. I'm liking that one. And I'm just going to do the last one here. And because they are quite wet, they are going to take a while to dry. So I'm going to go back to my blue one to show you what I do next. That's like this, just playing, having fun. And I really do stress the joy of painting. I love it. I absolutely love the physical aspect of paint. It makes me very happy. And from what some of you have said, a lot of you have said you feel the same. Let's get a little touches of gold on this as well, like that. So I have my 3, that one there. I'm just going to leave those to dry and go and make myself a cup of coffee. Actually, before I go and have a coffee, I will just show you how the book works with these. So these are the three pages. Oh, there we go. Like that. These ones I painted on this side, but I haven't painted on that side. Same with that one. Same with that one. Fold the whole lot in half. I will go through this slowly, but I just wanted you to see how it works. folding those bits in like that. I mean, there's loads of different ways that you can fold. I quite like this one. It's very easy. Just fold it like that. And I will put some ribbon or some more of the thread to tie it together. So we're going to go through that construction again. I've got 3 pieces here. I'm going to fold all of them in half, like this. And then put them on top of each other. So you're folding it like that. Again, you can use if you've got a bone folder, you could use that, but I've just used my thumb, that will work. Now what we're going to do now is to bind this, and I'm just going to use a very simple stitch, a running stitch. Let's look at this one and you'll see. But what we need to do first of all is to punch the holes through here. Now how I do this, you can of course measure it and do it that way, but the easiest way to do it is to get a scrap of paper and just trim it to the right width, fold it in half, fold it in half again, and depending on how big you want your stitches, let's say that we just have them with three little holes, because that will hold it together. It's not I'm going to mark this up so you can see. If you want more, you can do that. And then I've got my awl. Mind your fingers. If you've got a cradle, obviously use that. Mind your fingers. I kind of pierced my own finger the other day because I wasn't paying attention. Yes, it's always the way. Just punching them through there like that. And then I've got some embroidery silk, and I'm going to leave that little end dangling, poke that through there, poke it through there, go back again. Again, if you want to do more stitches, then you can. And then leaving the ends long, we can just tie them. And then you can leave it dangling, or you can trim it up, or however you want to finish it. So they are there, and that's securing these 3 pieces. Okay, so now this is the center. We're going to fold this piece in to the center so that you can still see the stitch, because that means we'll be able to fold it all together. Let's just put that one there. So we're folding those 2 middle bits in. Let's just fold that like that. Then we're going to get this one and fold that one in like that, and then the same with that one, just folding them into the middle. Then we're going to fold the whole lot back that way and do the same on the other side. That one like that. Now this one, this is the back. We're going to do it in a slightly different way because we want this end piece to go all the way over the top, and because we've got this bulk, it's going to have a gap, and I like that bit. I like that. So that bit goes over there. So just to recap, you've got the 2 bits in the middle, and then these bits folding in, and then you fold it all over, and then you put it like that. Now, I like to do some sort of fancy things. This is exactly the same. We just open it up and show you. We go 2 bits folded into the middle, then that bit folded in, then that bit folded in, that bit, and then the whole lot over and that bit. Can you see these shapes that I've cut? These are the things that can just make it a little bit more interesting. And I will show you how to do those. And you can make them up, do whatever you like. So let's go to this bit. This bit is going to be our front. And I quite like this to be a quirky shape. So let's just open it like this. We're going to be doing this end here. Now, you could just go straight in with a pair of scissors if you want to, which I think I am going to do. That's my line there. If that's too scary for you, then you draw it out. I'm going to do like a curve, very, very simple curve like that, so that when we fold it over, we get that line like that. And I think that's quite quirky. Let's go into the middle and do something similar with these. So you could do some wiggly lines and cut them there. You could cut them on the curve. It's entirely up to you, of course. You do whatever you want. I'm going to stick to this kind of curve like that. I might tidy that up a bit. Let's go back to the middle. That one's like this. Let's do something different on this side. Let's go the curve going this way, like that. I recommend to my students that they practice this sort of technique. I'm going to open everything up on scraps of paper. Then you don't get kind of scared that you're using your expensive paper. So always have a bit of a practice. Do a prototype. And so they're my curved ends there. So when I fold those in. But the other thing that you can do, let me just go to this one, is in the middle you could put a circle. And so how I did that was, imagine this is the middle bit and I just cut the circle out of that. So that's quite fun, isn't it? Okay, let's get back to our autumn colours. Just going to just pop that one back the right way around, like that. I'm going to go back to autumn colours. So here are my 3 pieces. The backs are still blank, and that's okay. I'm going to choose which one I want to have as my outside of the book. So again, if we're going back to this one, it will be the back and the front, so the outside bits. And I'm thinking I'm going to do this one. So because that's going to be the front and the back, I'm just going to fold. I'm just going to put this up that way. I'm not going to fold it at all at the minute. And then this one I'm going to put on top like that. Or should I do that? No, I'm going to do that. And then that's going to have there. It doesn't matter. You can just play around with it, really. And that one I'm going to put on top of there. So the next thing I'm going to do is to mark out the holes. I'm going to get some orange thread and stitch down the middle. So I've stitched those 3 pieces together like that, and now I'm going to do the folds. So let's go to the middle. I'm going to fold this one in just so that we can still see the stitches. Push that down like that. And then the other one. Now obviously you could do this with more than 3 sheets of paper, but I think 3 works really well for this type of project. Just fold that over like that. And this one. And when you've made a couple of them, you might then have some more ideas of what you would like to do. Let's just fold that over there like that. Pressing that down. Fold the whole lot over again. And now this one. I'm loving these autumn colours, as the leaves are really turning now here in Dorset. So beautiful. There we go. I'm going to fold the whole lot over. And this is the back piece. Fold that one, and that will be just like that. And that is my book all folded correctly, and then I can start to put in some of the shapes. And what I quite like to do is to look at where the paint has fallen and cut out some shapes from that. So I'm just going to turn that round because it would be easier to do. And I'm just going to follow a bit of those paint marks. So I think that could be quite fun. Let's do that bit there. And I'll show you what that looks like. Have that little curve there. I quite like it. Now you've got these gaps, and what I did with the blue one, oh, there we go. There were these gaps in the paint here, and I just cut some holes in them. I just using a craft knife. So that's another thing that you could do as well. So let's have a think what else we could do here. Quite often like to start in the middle. My folds here. Let's have a look at this and just see whether this is suggesting anything to me. It's quite landscapey. I might add some more paint to it. Obviously I'm going to be writing my poetry, so my poetry is going to go across here. But this is quite interesting. I might cut some holes in that, because that I think could look really quite exciting. And again, is this lending itself to some interesting shapes? That definitely is. Yeah, let's take this bit. So I hope you can see that there are so many things that you can do just using this technique. You can turn it into something that is totally unique to you. And I think these make really lovely gifts, just sort of an updated version of a card, really, isn't it? And I just think that it can work really, really well. And I've got that round. I'm thinking, why is that working? I did it the wrong way around. I just think they're lovely, and you could make these very, very personal. Put in personal messages. You know, that kind of thing can be really nice. Now, one thing that I do like to do, so I've cut that shape there. I'm just going to take a pencil here, and I'm just going to outline that cutout shape, because it's quite an interesting shape, and bring it out to there. And then I'm going to paint this bit here. Now I'm going to keep to my warm colours. Let's just give myself a bit of space here. Let's just turn that round there like that, I think. Again, I've got my soft brush, and just I'm going to pick up on the yellow. Let's just here, And again, it will just create another space for where I'm going to put some writing. Now I'm going to be handwriting using sort of various ink pens, but you could cut out text if you wanted to, from magazine, or from you could type up some quotes. I have got a whole list of quotes and things like that, inspirational words. I'll put a list below, all free. They're just prompts that I use for my students that I thought you might like. You could use those. So I'm just doing that. Sorry, you missed the camera on that one. I do apologise. And now on this side, I'm going to just do a little bit there. Just let that paint bleed into each other like that. Obviously you could do like a Halloween theme if you wanted to. That would be fun. I'm going to be doing some pumpkins, I think, with my little ones in the next couple of weeks. Let's just sort of pop that one in there. But you can see I'm just putting in some colour. And I'm going to leave that to dry. Like that. While waiting for the orange ones to dry, I'm going to go in with my blues and greens. And I'm just going to pick up on some of the lines that I've already done. Again, just letting the water wash across the page, and then add the paint, and then it just will disperse. It's a really good way to sort of practice your watercolour technique. Just sort of play with some ideas. Don't worry about it. Just see what happens. Yeah, and as I say in every single tutorial, allow yourself to play. That's quite fun. I quite like that continuation. I think that works well. Let's do a few little lines coming up like that, just blending all of those bits together. I'm going to leave that to dry. I think I can just perhaps do something on here. Again, just getting the paint onto it. I'll use a bigger brush. Just letting it move around. And then leaving that bit to dry as well. So this one is all dry now, and I've just started to put some poems into it. So I just sort of open it out so you can see what it's looking like. I've just kept to my autumn colours, and then that gave me the inspiration of what I'm going to put in here, and I'm going to call the whole thing Beneath the Autumn Sky. And I've just started to put some of my haikus and just some thoughts, and this is what I really encourage you to do. Now, I have a whole collection of little poems and haikus and things like that that I use in my workshops, and I have put together a short anthology which if you are a member of Open Studio, my YouTube channel, you can have for free. And all the details are below. So let's have a think about what we're going to do with these shapes. And I'm just going to make these just a little bit more interesting. So this is the middle bit. And at the moment it's just, as you can see, just the oblong. I'm just going to stretch that up a little bit there. And I like the way the paint has kind of created these spaces. And that's what I'm going to use as a guideline. So I'm just going to bend that bit over and just cut into the space. Now, of course, you don't have to do this, but I like it because I think it just adds something a little bit different, just makes your book a little bit more unique. So let's do that one there. And then on this one, similar sort of thing. I'm just going to use my guidelines. Now you could use a stencil or something like that. Do that here. Now I'm going to be working in this book throughout the whole of autumn. Actually, I'm going to put in some doodles, some drawings, some leaf studies, as well as some poetry and some prose. And one of the things that I do really like to do, it's got a mind of its own already, is to reflect on the seasons. And I think it's really kind of a mindful practice, and it's something that you might like to consider doing if you don't do it already. So my first one here, Thoughts of Autumn, and the whole of the kind of beneath the autumn sky. Let's just sort of open this one out. I've got this space here, and I'm going to use my Jinhao fountain pen and my Diamine ink, Oxblood. The links are below. And I'm just going to put a little one that I was thinking about earlier, and trying to concentrate while I'm writing and not make a mistake, like I did a few weeks ago. So, thoughts of autumn, flame. I like these sort of evocative words. And I was thinking about the trees and the sort of words that pop into my head when I'm looking at the trees. Golden fire. And then light melts. I quite liked that. Light melts into dusk. Like that. Now, you know, I kind of make up these. I'm not a poet. I like words, but I also love reading poetry, and I will use the poems from other people, and I'd write those down as well. And you could do the same. And in here I've got my kind of reference to a tree, so I think I might just sort of put in a little tree here, and then I can kind of expand on this idea and just think where it might take me. And you know, I might add more bits to it as the weeks go by, and then obviously we'll be full into winter, and then we have a whole new theme. I like that. I'm going to have my branches coming up like that, and then just maybe another little idea, just some doodles, just, you know, nothing fancy. And you could do something very, very similar. Now with this one, I quite like this shape here. So my poem, I think I'm going to do it round this way, continuing this idea of thoughts of autumn, like this. And you can see I'm just kind of working my way around this bit. And, I like handwriting, but I also like printing the words out as well. Let's have some fading light and brittle leaves. I love that sound of the dried leaves underfoot and you scrunch along. I love that sound. And then silence fills the air. I'm quite liking that. So I hope this has given you some ideas and some thoughts about what you could do with your personal one. And you might want to cut some more holes in it as well. Just going to fold that, and I am going to put some ribbon around it. Now I'm just going to show you my other one. And again, I had a theme for this. I decided to call it the Raging Seas. And I've just started to put in some thoughts. And again, I'm using the shapes and patterns from the book itself. And again, this is very new and I will continue to work on that one as well. I really hope you enjoyed that tutorial, that you've got lots of ideas of things that you want to do. Let me know, share in the comments, and if you haven't joined the Facebook group, then please do that, because it's such a friendly and warm and welcoming place. And if you'd like to do some more, you could look at this one and this one, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.